Cost Volume Profit Analysis Part 2. This is module number 222 of the course of Financial Management. In CVP analysis, in the last module, we talked about what is cost, what is volume, and what is profit. And we said that CVP analysis is basically an analysis that revolves around volume, that is quantity. How many units are produced and sold? And if units produced and sold increase, what is the impact on profit? What is the impact on cost? We further talked about it, that cost is segregated into two components, that is fixed and variable cost. And before that, we also talked about the impact of fixed and variable cost. Now in this module, let's first have a look at the profit equation. Now, if we have not segregated the fixed and variable cost, यानी अगर हमने इस cost को अलग-अलग नहीं किया, then the basic profit equation is just revenue minus cost is equal to profit. And here, when we use the term cost, we also mean the operating expenses, the cost of production, and everything that we are referring to. Now, but what we have done here is that we have segregated the two costs for the purpose of CVP analysis, and you can see that the equation looks like this. R minus TVC minus FC is equal to P, where R is the revenue that we generate from the sale of the units that we have produced. TVC is the total variable cost, and FC is the total fixed cost. So if we subtract total variable and fixed costs out of our revenue, we get the amount of profit. Now let's apply this equation and see that how can we do a bit of CVP analysis with reference to this equation and fluctuation of volumes. Now this equation tells us about the expected or the amount of profit if Q quantities are produced and sold. Now, in this equation, SP is the per unit selling price and PUVC is the per unit variable cost, and FC is of course the fixed cost and P is profit. Now, if I have a certain amount of selling price known to me and the per unit variable cost known to me and the fixed cost known to me, I put them in this equation, and this equation looks like this. 50 rupees multiplied by the quantity, that is the volume sold, minus 30 multiplied by the quantity again sold, and 200,000, which in this example is the fixed cost. If I have the quantity, the figure, the value of Q, I put that value of Q in this equation and I get the amount of profit. This is a simple thing, a simple equation, and it is applied when we have the quantity or the volume amount known. But let's look at it from another angle, from a different angle, and this is what is the CVP analysis is. That instead of calculating the profit for a given amount of volume or quantity, let's see that if my targeted profit is 100,000 rupees. This is the same equation that we have seen in the last slide, but here the profit amount is mentioned, which is 100,000. Fixed cost is the same. So in this equation, there is just one variable, and that is Q or quantity. अगर हमारे पास एक equation हो और एक ही unknown variable हो, तो उस एक equation से हम उसकी value determine कर सकते हैं. So we take the fixed cost on the right hand side. So on the right hand side we have got 300,000, and then when we subtract 50Q minus 30Q we get 20. So keeping Q on the left hand side and dividing 300,000 by 20, we get 15,000 units. So this means that if these are the values of selling price, variable cost, fixed cost, and the profit which is targeted, we need to sell 15,000 units. This means that if we want to earn more profit, we can change the value of profit and then see that what will be the quantity that will be required. Now, the same equation, let's apply it if we want to see that if there is no profit, if we want to see the break-even point, like how many units need to be sold if we want to see the break-even point. यानी इसी इक्वेशन में जो अभी हमने देखी है, अगर हम टारगेटेड प्रॉफिट को ज़ीरो कर दें, हमने ये डिस्कस किया पहले कि ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट असल में वो पॉइंट है जहाँ पर हमारा प्रॉफिट और लॉस जो है वो ख़त्म हो जाता है, and it is zero. So targeted profit, if we are applying the equation for break even, is zero. And if we calculate the quantity, the value of Q, let's see how does it work. So 50Q minus 30Q minus 200 is 0. We'll take 200,000 on the other side, subtract 30 out of 50, which is 20, divide 200,000 by 20, and we get a value which is 10,000 units. यानी अगर हम इस given set of selling price, variable cost और fixed cost को इस्तेमाल करते हुए ये देखना चाहते हैं कि कितने यूनिट्स हम प्रोड्यूस करें कि जिन पर हम ब्रेक इवन करेंगे, तो the equation helps us to determine that. Concluding our discussion on this CVP analysis, we say that it is actually the volume that we are referring to, alteration or changes in the volume, keeping it the same, taking it up or down, and then seeing that what are the target amounts of profit that can be calculated, and what are those quantities that will be required to make that amount of profit.